For the next couple of minutes, we're going to talk about what it means to build your resume in real time. So we know that a resume is kind of a snapshot. It's a one-page version of your best professional self. So students sometimes get a little bit of anxiety when it's time to create your resume because you feel like, you know what, I haven't really done enough that I feel is even worth that one sheet of paper. So what we're going to talk about today is being able to identify what are some of the things that you actually have done, and then how can you spend your time building up that resume, building up that snapshot of yourself in real time. So there's several different components to a resume. So our discussion is going to go through those various components. It goes from your education to your professional experience. Then you're going to include your skills. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips in between on how your personal interests and networking can actually help to build up your resume. So first and foremost, your objective. There is some debate industry-wide of whether or not an objective is necessary. I definitely think for students, an objective is important, and some of my colleagues and some of my former classmates who I send students' resumes to, they actually will ask, does this student have an objective? Or they'll remark on the effectiveness of an objective if it was listed and say, hey, this gives us a great idea of how we can utilize this particular student in our internship program. So I definitely recommend students to add an objective to your resume. Your objective should include an industry that you're interested in. One thing that you can do is to kind of explore different industries to see what industry is most aligned with your interest, and understanding that different industries can make the same job a very different day-to-day experience as from what you would think. So for example, if you want to be a business analyst for Microsoft is going to have a very different day-to-day role and responsibility from a business analyst for a company like International Paper. So you're looking at the software or cloud computing industry versus the paper products industry. So those things can be very different. Within your objective, you also want to make sure that you include what function you're interested in. So you may be a business major, but you may be interested in business analyst roles or in data analytics roles, or you may want to do entry-level marketing or being a marketing associate. You may also be interested in sales. So it's okay to have more than one resume for whatever the number of functions are that you're interested in potentially pursuing internship or professional opportunities in. So if there's 3 different functions you're interested in, you should have 3 different resumes catered to each of those functions and industries. Then you're going to list your education. This is an example of a good format to list that in. You have your university at the top, so Florida A&M with the location, then your college or school beneath that, then the degree that you're pursuing, and it's very important to put your anticipated graduation date, so when you plan to graduate. That's very important for the decision makers who are going to be reviewing your resume. The GPA is important as well because many internship opportunities have a GPA requirement. So you want to make sure that you're being transparent with where you're at, so that the decision makers who are reviewing your resume, they know how to utilize you in their program. So the work experience. This can seem like the most daunting component of a resume for a student, but I want to talk about how you can actually utilize your experience to your advantage. So many students have some professional experience, but the challenge becomes that your professional experience isn't necessarily aligned with where you want to go with your career. What we want to focus on, though, are transferable skills. So what are the things that you've done on the job that have helped you develop skills that you would utilize in your career. So, for example, if you're majoring in physical therapy, you may not have actually had any hands-on physical therapy experience yet, but the jobs that you've had have allowed you to build professional skills that are going to be able to transfer into a physical therapy career. For example, have you worked on a team? Have you led a team? Have you had to interact with customers face to face or over the phone? Have you had to resolve disputes that customers have had? What type of problem solving have you done on the job? What types of communication, both internally and externally, have you had to do on the job? Have you had to manage others? Have you done any scheduling? Or have you assisted with some of those types of management responsibilities? All of those things are skills that recruiters are looking for in students, and those are things that transfer very well into any career that you may be pursuing. So make sure that you are really self-reflective and ask yourself, what are the things that I performed very well in? How did I demonstrate professionalism? And then those are the things that you want to make sure you're writing about in your on your resume. You may not have had a lot of professional experience, or even if you had, ask yourself, have there been times when I've gone out and volunteered? Am I active in the community and on campus? Volunteer experience is a great way to demonstrate that you are well rounded. It's one thing to go to class, it's one thing to go to work. But a student who goes out and does the things that you are not required to do and does the things that maybe don't really give you something in return shows that you're someone who's willing to go above and beyond, and recruiters love to see that type of experience. It's also fulfilling for you. So, school can get hard at times. If you get involved in the community and if you get involved on campus, it's a good way for you to have an outlet and for you to feel like more of yourself. So make sure on your resume you're describing any of those volunteer experiences that you have had, because you want to make sure that you're capturing your whole self on your resume. In any of the experience that you're going to share, make sure that you describe your accomplishments. So your accomplishments are anything that you've done on the job or in your organizations that have saved time or money. So maybe you helped to um, improve a process. Let's say this process used to take 3 hours per day, and you help cut that down to 1 hour per day, and it's something that's done every day. So what you've done is you saved the company 10 hours per week. That's measurable, and that's an accomplishment. And so it's something that you should describe on your resume, and it's something that you should be proud of. And not only does it show your accomplishment and your ability to achieve, but it also reflects self-awareness, that you know that it's important to quantify how you have had an impact on the organizations that you've been a part of. So let's just take a quick step back. We know that we need an objective on our resume. We have to list our education. We know that anyone who reviews a resume is, of course, looking for your experience. For students, that's going to be professional and volunteer experience. So now we'll get into a couple of the other sections of a resume, and then just some general tips on how you can utilize your time wisely, that you're building up that resume in real time. First and foremost, stay true to yourself. You want to make sure that you are not on autopilot. What I mean by autopilot is just going through the motions, going to class, going home, or going to work. Be multidimensional. What are the things that you're interested in? What you can do is go out and find organizations on campus that are aligned with your personal interests. You may also get involved in intramural sports. So those are sports that are not necessarily sponsored by the university, but they're organized in such a manner that it allows you to have that activity and have that outlet. Um, Professional leadership development in the School of Business and Industry um, that provides students with additional affiliations. And I know that in several other schools across campus, there are now professional leadership development coursework as well as affiliations. So what this means is you're being reflective, you're figuring out what are the things that I want to do with my time, and then you're going out and finding opportunities to participate in those types of activities in an organized manner that's going to then be reflected on your resume. With any organizations that you may go out and be a part of, seek out leadership opportunities. So maybe there's a leadership board um, for the organization. Can you be the president of the organization, the VP of membership, the treasurer? All of these things are valuable experiences to build you up into a well-rounded student, and they look great on your resume. Conferences. So you don't always have to be a member of an organization to be able to experience um, other opportunities to demonstrate that you're well-rounded. So look for conferences that are related to your major that invite students to participate in those conferences. That's also a great way to reflect on your resume that you're seeking to do more, that you're trying to be well-rounded and you're seeking to get a deeper level of exposure in your respective field. Recruiters love to see that. So what is a way that you can really figure all of these things out? Okay, so as a student, you're going to have a lot of questions. And one of the best ways to go about getting your questions answered is by having a mentor. A mentor is someone who has some of the experience that you're wanting to gain, and so they can provide you with insight into what is to come down the line. So you can look for professional mentors. These are people um, who are employed in the field that you're interested in. You can also find peer mentors. So if you're a freshman or a sophomore, a peer is someone who, might be a junior or even a senior, and their academic and professional interests are somewhat aligned with yours. Even though they're your peer, for the most part, not very much difference in age, they can provide you with a lot of insight as well. Mentors are great for reviewing your resume. They have gone through the process that you're going to go through with looking for professional opportunities. So they're going to be able to give you the feedback that you need, and that's going to be really relevant and valuable to make sure that your resume is helping you put your best foot forward. Get out there and network. You can make professional contacts as a student that will help you be able to identify the best professional opportunities for you. The Tallahassee Chamber has an organization. Any of your professional leadership coursework is another way for you to network, especially with companies that come to FAMU to recruit. So make sure that you are registered with the Career Center. That's another great way to make professional contacts. Networking is very important. Something else you can do is really going back to thinking about your personal interest and not only finding opportunities on campus to explore these personal interests, but finding opportunities that are citywide for you to meet like-minded people. If you have an interest in art, then going out to see some of the local art galleries, you'll find people who have a very similar interest to you. And you never know what kind of conversations can be sparked when you're in the presence of people that are like-minded. So don't be afraid to get out and explore and have new experiences. And you'll also learn more about yourself that will help you do a deeper level and a more effective and more useful type of career exploration and research. So building your skills along the way is very important. In today's professional job market, It's all about not necessarily just having a degree, but what are the skills that you possess? What have you actually done, whether it's in school or on your job? Um, so these are just some examples. SEO, that's search engine optimization, is something that's very popular now. So maybe you can do research on search engine optimization. And if you have an interest in marketing, if you have an interest in data analytics, in public relations, all of those fields are very, that's a relevant skill. And it's something that if you dive deep into, then you can put that on your resume and say, hey, this is something that I'm um, proficient in. Content management systems, very similarly, is another skill that's gaining popularity. Cloud platforms, cloud computing is getting very, very popular now. So being able to demonstrate your familiarity with cloud computing platforms is very important. And it's definitely something that companies are looking for in recent college graduates. Make sure that you're responsible with how you manage your social media presence. Twitter, we know, is a public interface, so recruiters are definitely looking on Twitter. LinkedIn is really a phenomenal tool for job seekers. So make sure that you put a little work into developing your LinkedIn profile. It's almost like your resume on a social media platform. So put a little work into that. Um, WordPress, that's a way that you can get information out into the out there that you may have some expertise in. So ultimately, you want to create a process for yourself that you are always making sure you're making good use of your time. So any certifications that you are eligible for, just start with one at a time. Is there a certification that you can do that's going to build up your marketability? So it could be something like Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Access, or it can be an industry specific certification that's going to look really good on your resume and set you apart from other students. Visiting resources that are on campus, for example, the Bloomberg Lab is a on-campus resource that allows students to do industry research, and there's also the ability to get a Bloomberg certification. Fastcompany.com, blackenterprise.com, these are online business news um, platforms, so you can utilize those. Set up alerts to make sure that you're always exploring and always learning new things about your craft, learning new things about industries that you are interested in, and learning things that can help you prepare for your career. Research craft blogs, that's just an example of something you can jot down as a note to yourself. Are you interested in crafts? Are you interested in art, in music, in food, in travel? Make sure that you're spending time looking into the things that you are interested in, because you never know, something career related could fall out of that. And also because it's very important, even when you're planning for your career, to make sure that you plan to have space that you carve out to be just who you are. So this is how you build your resume in real time. Following these steps of not just getting things down onto paper, but following these steps of making sure that you are participating in the activities that are going to demonstrate who you are will make your resume very impressive. And when you show it to your friends, they will be phenomenally impressed. Good luck.